to get them to come up with their own scenarios at the start, when we were introducing, and then to try and go through the scenarios they had picked so that it would be more practical, I suppose, for their own lives as opposed to picking ones but yeah, the role plays. And we did some later on. We did do some throughout the 14 weeks, but the group needed to settle. There was a lot of, they didn't know each other very well either. They came from outside of the area, and it was just too soon, especially in those earlier ones.
Okay. And in relation to session 5 then, question 6 and 7, you said you introduced the clips from the television programme to assist the delivery of the good and bad listening skills. So I suppose I'm wondering, could you explain how this change was decided upon and introduced?
The week previous, they had been extremely flat as a group. It didn't matter what kind of activity we were doing. There was nothing really engaging them. And we felt we had some literacy issues as well. And we felt that they were just getting bogged down from sheets and sheets and sheets and handouts. So we wanted something more visual, and we wanted to try and get them to have, we felt at that stage if we were going to lose families it would be around the midway mark, and they were getting very flat and we were afraid that they were getting a little bit bored of it, so we wanted to make it a little bit fun as well, so from bringing it from the comedy, and they really enjoyed it, and we had discussed it. Still used the handouts, we'd given them out and read through them, and they were very quick to be able to pick out the different points of what was good and bad examples of listening. So I felt it worked really well. I think more kind of things like that maybe need to be introduced in the programme, and make it more current. I suppose that's their medium. Everything they're doing is on screens and on, computers and whatever. I think maybe it is about time that we started maybe to move a little bit more towards that. Because in schools and everything, that's how they're being, everything's been done, interactive whiteboards and all the rest of it. And sometimes, especially for some of the kids who would have maybe learning needs and that, for them to see it on a screen in front of them as opposed to listening to somebody or reading it on a sheet, it just resonates a little bit better with them.
Okay. And I know we've touched on this one a little bit. Session 9, question 6. So this is in relation to the problem solving, and you state that you left some questions that were suggested or outlined in the manual. You left them out of the session. Can you explain why?
Of the problems that were given. So on the start of that session, what we did was we asked them to come up with problems that they felt they had in their own daily lives. And then we tried to address those ones. And then we needed more, so we used the ones off the list. But we felt some of the ones on the list weren't really relevant either, especially for the older group. Some of them might have been more relevant to the younger group, but not for the older group, so that's why we left some of them out.
Great. And again, sticking with session 9, question 12, in your answer you state that the steps to problem solving were too complicated. So is it your opinion and experience that the concept was too complicated, or is it too complicated for the particular age group?
I think the concept of the problem solving is fine. I think it's the fact that it's the 7 steps. I think it maybe needs to be broken down into shorter steps. Even the way it's worded, and if this doesn't work, go back to 5. And I think they figured it was nearly like a maths problem at that stage. There were so many instructions in it. I don't know what's the best way to do it, but it definitely needs to be looked at. There's too many steps. They were getting completely, and we were giving them out the sheet, and all they could see was question after question after question, and it was making it into a much, much bigger deal. They were able to talk it out better than they were looking at any of the sheets. So we kind of tried to condense it for them and talk through the problems as opposed to using any of the sheets, because they were just getting so bogged down that they were completely losing the concept, which we felt that they had grasped. But when we started putting it on working through the problems and using the worksheets, they were completely losing the concept.
Okay. And then just with regard to session 10, question 12, in your answer you state that the session needs a lot of work. The language of the lesson is completely different to all the previous lessons. There's no flow to the lesson, jumping from topic to topic. It's a very unclear lesson as to what lesson you were putting across. Just wondering, do you want to comment on that further?
Yeah, so I suppose I've mentioned it already. So that's the sexuality and relationships session. It's not it states in it at the start that it's not a sex ed. It's not supposed to be about that. yeah, like I said, the language, even to just read through, if you read the session before and the session after and read that session, the language is completely different. And the content in the session, there's no fluidity to it. It's very all over the place. Yeah, it does. I feel that one needs the most work because it's such an extremely important one. Both for the younger and especially the older teens. I suppose we focused a lot on the age of consent, which was brought up once kind of in the session, but we kind of homed in on it, especially with the age of our participants. But yeah, it's an extremely important one. I know there's a lot of work being done in schools, etc. about it, but I think it's a message that cannot be enforced enough. But I'm still not 100% sure exactly what that session is what message is trying to get across to them.
Okay. Can I just ask, I suppose, in general, whenever you've made changes to the content, is that driven by your own experience as a practitioner or as a facilitator?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Just from working with teen groups on a day-to-day basis and just reading how I feel they're going to, and I suppose, and as the programme goes on, just getting to know the group better, just feeling what will work and what won't work. And sometimes that needs to even change in the night. We might have decided to put in a role play or take out a role play, and then they come in different form to what we thought they were going to be, and then you need to change it again. So sometimes you do need to have two plans depending on how they're going to arrive to you on an evening.
Okay. So then if I could just ask, in relation to your own agency, do you receive supervision from your agency or your manager in relation to your role with SFP?
I suppose we would, within my own agency, yes, to a degree, it would be brought up in our own regular supervision meetings. But we would have a very strong debrief at the end of the sessions with the facilitators and the site coordinator of the SFP programme at the end of every session. And the site coordinator is available to us at any stage throughout the week if there's anything that we need to come back to her on. And
then we'd say, with regards to your own organisation, what levels of support are available for you?
I suppose we'd have our own monthly supervision, but we would meet for a staff meeting on a weekly basis, and if there's anything that has come up in it, we can discuss it there at that.
So do you feel adequately supported by your agency?
Absolutely, yeah.
And some information from the Irish delivery of SFP indicates that facilitators felt that their own supervisors or managers didn't understand what was involved in delivering the programme.
Our manager of our agency is also she does site coordination. There's a couple of them that share the site coordination with together, and she's also on the referral committee as well. So she's very involved, and she's there most nights, and she facilitates as well in some of the family programs. So definitely not an issue for us.
And can I just ask about the process of completing the reflective journals? How would you describe your experience of writing the online reflective journals?
Fine, yeah. It's just a matter of getting time to do it within a busy working week. But yeah, it was fine, and the questions were straightforward enough.
Did you notice that your facilitation or delivery of the programme was affected in any way by writing the journal?
No, I don't think so. Maybe it made me more aware of just staying, that the validity of the programme was being delivered at all stages. But I think that's something I would have been doing anyway. I don't think it would have changed too much.
Do you have any other comments?
No.
Perfect. Okay, I will stop this guy now.